He was a patrician, a Roman military and political leader. He played a critical role in transforming the Roman Republic into the Roman Empire. Much of the historiography of Caesar's military campaigns was written by himself or by contemporary sources, most of them, letters and speeches by Cicero and manuscripts by Sallust. His biography was later better written by the historians Suetonius and Plutarch. Caesar is considered by many academics as one of the greatest military commanders in history. Thank you for reading. We would love to hear your thoughts and comments. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more updates and content. Born into a patrician family of small influence, Caesar worked his way up in Roman public life. In 60 BCE, he and the politicians Crassus and Pompey formed an alliance, the first triumvirate, that eventually dominated Roman politics for years. His attempts to maintain power through populist tactics faced resistance from the conservative aristocratic classes of the Roman Senate, led by men such as Cato and Cicero. Caesar gained a good military reputation and wealth during the Gallic Wars, 58 to 50 BCE, expanding the Roman domains to the north to the English Channel, annexing Gaul, modern-day France, and to the east to the Rhine, within modern-day Germany. He also became the first Roman general to launch a military incursion into Britannia. Julius Caesar was a Roman patrician, military leader, and politician. He played a critical role in the transformation of the Roman Republic into the Roman Empire. Much of the historiography of Caesar's military campaigns was written by himself or by contemporary sources, mostly letters and speeches of Cicero and manuscripts of Sallust. His biography was later better written by the historians Suetonius and Plutarch. Caesar is considered by many academics to be one of the greatest military commanders in history. His conquests gave him immense military power and respect, which ultimately threatened the position of his political and now rival, Pompey the Great. The latter had switched sides after Crassus' death in 53 BCE, now supporting the conservative wing of the Roman Senate. With the war in Gaul over, senators in Rome demanded that Caesar disband his army and return to the capital. He refused to obey, and in 49 BCE he crossed the Rubicon River with his legions, armed and entering Italy, in violation of Roman law that prohibited a general from marching into Rome. This precipitated a violent civil war, which ended with Caesar's victory, giving him complete power in the Republic. In 49 BCE, Caesar assumed command in Rome as an absolute dictator. He then started a series of social and political reforms, including the creation of the Julian calendar. He continued to centralize power and bureaucracy of the Republic over the next few years, giving himself great authority. However, the wound of the civil war was still open, and political opposition in Rome started to conspire to overthrow him from power. The conspiracies culminated on the Ides of March in 44 BCE with the assassination of Caesar by a group of aristocratic senators led by Marcus Junius Brutus. His death would trigger another civil war for the spoils of power, and thus the constitutional republican government was never fully restored. His great-nephew, Gaius Octavian, was made his heir in his will. In 27 BCE, the young man went down in history as Augustus, the first Roman emperor, adopting the title of Caesar and claiming his political legacy. Childhood and early career. Julius Caesar was born into a patrician family, the Julii, which claimed descent from Ascanius, the son of the legendary Trojan Aeneas, who in turn was, according to Roman mythology, the son of the goddess Venus. His cognomen Caesar originated, according to Pliny the Elder, from an ancestor born by caesarean section, a Latin word meaning to cut, cede, kais, D. The Historia Augusta suggests 3 reasons for his name. The first is that Caesar was born with a lot of hair, in Latin, Caesaris, that he had very light grey eyes, in Latin, oculus caesius, or that he killed an elephant, caesar, in battle. Caesar himself ordered coins to be made with an elephant portrait, suggesting that he favored this interpretation of his name. The Julius Caesars, a family of Roman aristocracy, did not have significant political power in Rome despite their traditional background. However, some family members held high positions in the Republic in the previous century. Caesar's father, Gaius Julius Caesar, governed the province of Asia, and his aunt Julia was married to the influential general Gaius Marius. Caesar's mother, Aurelia Cotta, was also a prominent member of the family. Unfortunately, there is limited information available about Caesar's childhood. In 85 BC, Caesar's father suddenly died. At 16 years old, he became the head of the family. At the same time, a civil war broke out between his uncle, Gaius Marius, and his rival, the general Sulla. Both sides carried out purges of their opponent's supporters, including those in their families. While Marius and his ally, Lucius Cornelius Cinna, were in control of the city, Caesar was appointed as the new high priest of Jupiter. He then married Cinna's daughter, Cornelia. After Sulla's eventual victory, Caesar's connections to Marius's regime made him a target of the new government. He was stripped of his inheritance, his wife's dowry, and his priesthood, but he refused to divorce Cornelia and was forced to flee and hide. The threat against him diminished after an investigation of his mother's family revealed some of them supported Sulla and were Vestals. Sulla gave up pursuing Caesar but stated that he saw much of Marius in him. Despite being granted a pardon, Caesar did not feel safe with Sulla still in control and thus left Rome to join the army. He served under Marcus Minucius Thermus in Asia and Servilius Esoricus in Cilicia, where he earned recognition for his bravery and received the civic crown for his role in the siege of Mytilene. During a mission to Bithynia, rumors spread of his alleged affair with King Nicomedes IV, which Caesar always denied. After Sulla's death in 78 BC, Caesar returned to Rome, where he lived in a modest house in the lower-class neighborhood of spqr due to financial struggles from the confiscation of his inheritance. He became a lawyer, known for his strong oratory skills and firm gestures, as well as his loud voice. Caesar gained notoriety for prosecuting corrupt former governors and was well known among the people for this. During a journey in the Aegean Sea, Caesar was kidnapped by pirates and held captive. He maintained a superior attitude during his captivity, insisting the ransom be increased from 20 to 50 talents of silver. Once the ransom was paid, he was released. In retaliation, Caesar assembled a fleet, captured the pirates, and crucified them as he had promised during his captivity. As a sign of clemency, he ended their suffering by cutting their throats. Soon after, he was recalled to the army and served in the east. This is when Caesar's reputation as a competent military commander began to take shape. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe so you don't miss any information, and always stay connected to everything that happens around the world. Upon returning to Rome, Caesar began his political career by being elected as a military tribune. He was then elected as quaestor in 69 BC, and at the funeral of his aunt Julia that same year, he gave a speech supporting her husband, General Marius. Later in the year, Caesar's wife Cornelia passed away. After her burial, he served as quaestor in Hispania, where he was struck by the realization that he had reached the same age as Alexander the Great, a great conqueror. but had accomplished little in comparison. Upon his return in 67 BC, he married Pompey, who was Sulla's granddaughter, but the two eventually divorced. In 65 BC, Caesar formed an alliance with Crassus, one of Rome's wealthiest men, and received financial support from him to run for the position of aedile. In 63 BC, he ran for the post of Pontiff Maximus, the high priest of the Roman religion, and despite accusations of bribery and other crimes from all sides, he won the election, defeating more experienced opponents. When Cicero, serving as consul, exposed a plot by Lucius Sergius Catilina to take control of the Republic, some senators accused Caesar of involvement, which he denied. After serving as praetor in 62 BC, Caesar was appointed governor of Hispania Ulteria as pro-magistrate, holding proconsular powers in some beliefs. Facing debt, he sought support from Crassus, who paid a portion of his debt and acted as a guarantor for the rest in exchange for Caesar's political support against Pompey's policies. To avoid losing his immunity from legal process over his debts, Caesar left for his governorship before his praetorship ended. In Hispania, he conquered two local tribes and earned the title of imperator from his troops, leaving with a good reputation. In 60 BC, Caesar held the title of imperator, a title that was only conferred on military leaders after major victories. He also wanted to become a consul, the highest magistracy in the Republic, but to do so he would have to give up his command and run for election as an ordinary private citizen. He asked the Senate to allow him to run for the consulship in absentia, but his request was blocked by Cato the Younger. Caesar chose to pursue the consulship, instead of a triumph, as he could not hold both at the same time. Thank you for reading. We would love to hear your thoughts and comments. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more updates and content. Thank you in advance for your participation. Best regards.